Thank you all very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the press. There are no ladies here, so good morning, gentlemen of the media. Thank you all once again for attending this urgent press conference, and I want to appreciate you for coming. We have called you here today to talk about our manifesto, very important, or the best bet for the Ghanaian people. But firstly, we need to address and categorically refute recent derogatory comments and outright falsehood spread by the Volta regional chairman of the ruling MPP concerning the highly successful campaign tour of our esteemed flag bearer, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, in the Volta region a couple of weeks ago. A few days ago, whilst we were launching our manifesto at the University of Education in Winneba, Mr. Kafiwanya, the Volta regional chairman of the MPP, held a semblance of a press conference with the unsuccessful objective of downplaying the positive impact of H.E. John Dramani Mahama's campaign visit to the region. It is regrettable, though, that the MPP regional chairman has resorted to distorting the facts surrounding the warm reception and overwhelming support demonstrated by the good people of the Volta region towards His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. The chairman's baseless claims that our flag bearer was met with indifference, that the people of this region have lost confidence in the NDC, are not only unfounded, but also an insult to the intelligence and loyalty of the people of the Volta region. Apparently, the massive endorsement by the people of the region, ably demonstrated through the speeches of Togbe Teprehodo, President of the Volta Regional House of Chiefs, Togbe Apede Agbubumefia of Dasogli State, and former President of the National House of Chiefs, have obviously given the MPP sleepless night. The overwhelming turnout, spontaneous display of support across the region were clear indications of the people's trust in the NDC to restore the dignity and prosperity of this nation. John Dramani Mahama's message, reset and rebuild the nation through well-thought-through policies such as the 24-hour economy, have so resonated with the people that the MPP has no option than to resort to their inferior tactics of discrediting the next president's engagement. Clearly, the largely plagiarized manifesto as launched by the MPP for the 2024 general election is an inverted pyramid of prefill which contains nothing significant for the people of the Volta region. The reason for those baseless innuendos. It is important I lay bare some facts to set the record straight in response to the baseless allegation and unprovoked attacks from the MPP leadership in this region. 1. According to the MPP regional chairman, John Mahama chose to construct an airport in Ho, but in another breath did nothing for the people of the Volta region. This clearly is a contradictory and confused stance anyone could take. The whole airport is undoubtedly an important infrastructure that has the potential of opening up the region to a lot of business opportunities, and this can only take a visionary leader like John Dramani Mahama to construct. He again said, Mahama did not put up any resettlement housing unit for the victims of the Keta tidal waves when he was president. For the records, it is under John Dramani Mahama that the Ketasi Defense Resettlement Housing Scheme, comprising 618 housing units, were completed at Ajido, Keji, and Voja to house persons affected by the Ketasi Defense Project. This enclave is totally become a prime area in Keta, and I can say on authority that the Volta regional chairman of the MPP found it viable to acquire some assets in that area. Also, it is untrue that Nanado was the first to asphalt roads in Hohwe or parts of the Volta region. The first time the region witnessed an asphalted road was under the reign of John Dramani Mahama. Indeed, he asphalted the whole town, Kwando, Denu, Aplau roads. He constructed over 6 kilometers of asphalt overlay of Hohwe town roads. It is therefore palpable false that Volta region saw asphalt for the first time in Hohwe under the MPP. 4. The naval base in the Volta region is a John Dramani Mahama's legacy and not the MPP's as claimed by Mr. Wanya. On the 2nd of October 2016, 240 recruits at the Nudekbo Naval Training Base were inducted into the Navy. Clearly, this project preceded the MPP government, and that a little research or some Google search would have revealed that to them. That project was conceived, initiated, completed under John Dramani Mahama, but commissioned under Nana Akufo-Addo. 5. It is also important to address the false narrative that the NDC has no new message for the people of the region. That's funny, isn't it? Our message is clear. We are committed to resetting, rebuilding Ghana, a nation that has, over the past 7 years, witnessed unprecedented economic hardship, corruption, nepotism, and mismanagement perpetrated by the clueless Nanado Bawumia-led MPP. Our policies are people-centered, focused on job creation, quality education, healthcare, and infrastructure development that this region and the entire country desperately needs. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama hit the nail right on the head when he perfectly described Alhaji Bawumia as Ablakwa, which means a chronic liar. A trait that obviously is in the DNA of the MPP. It should therefore not surprise anyone that Mr. Wanya, the Volta regional chairman, an appointee of the MPP, for that matter, has chosen to resort to blatant lies, outright falsehood, and fabrication to malign an honest and incorrupt character like H.E. John Dramani Mahama, who has always upheld the standard of respect, decorum, and truthfulness in his political endeavor. Let me remind the MPP chairman that the MPP chairman and his cohorts that the Volta region remains a stronghold of the NDC, not because of rhetoric, but because of our track record and development, and there is nothing he can do about it. Any attempt to tarnish the image of our flag bearer or to discredit his interaction with the people of the region during his tour is not only laughable, but also an act of desperation by a party that has failed the people of the Volta region and Ghana. The NDC would continue to stand firm, defend our legacy, work tirelessly to bring about the change Ghanaians are yearning for. We are not immune to the hardship. We encourage the good people of the region to remain resolute, vigilant, and peaceful in the face of provocation. The battle ahead is not one of the words, but of action, policies, a commitment to progress of our beloved region, which the NDC has clearly won. Thank you all very much for your attention. I would give way for us to go to the actual reasons we are here, to listen to the meat of our manifesto for the people of the Volta region. Thank you once again.
Yomide akpe gama nyablone miape amugangtome pe jimenola na due habobo. Egba pe press conference yakemie edogua. Suite mi dogora konwa enyebe nuike le miaƒe manifesto me yewo ke amuga ŋutɔmetɔwo tamatso me ŋkpɔkpɔ ma ne mayo miaƒe sewotakpɔkpɔ me la ne Northtown Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa no va ƒo ŋutso eŋtina milo Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kafui. Let me acknowledge the presence of our dynamic regional chairman, our very hardworking regional secretary, our elders who are represented here, members of the manifesto committee of the great NDC. I want to extend very warm regards to all our viewers and listeners across the Volta region and the good people of our country, particularly Voltarians who, as we all know, are well represented in every part of Ghana. We say a very good morning to you all, and I echo to all what you do for the advancement of our country. This morning, we have called this press conference to discuss the role of the Volta region in the NDC manifesto, locating the Volta region in the NDC manifesto. And we want to state right from the outset that we in the Volta region are very, very excited about the focus of the NDC Resetting Ghana manifesto, particularly as it relates to the development of the Volta region. We have compared all the manifestos that have been launched so far, and after that comparative analysis, we can firmly conclude that only the NDC 2024 manifesto takes a holistic and comprehensive view and addresses the challenges and the concerns of the people of the Volta region. We also want to thank His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, his running mate Professor Nana Jenopoku-Agyemang, and the manifesto committee that clearly, when they came round and listened to our chiefs, listened to our queen mothers, listened to youth associations, listened to professional groups, listened to the clergy, all of those listening and building Ghana tours have not been in vain, because we find in the manifesto clear expression of all of those engagements. We are convinced today that former President Mahama and the incoming President Mahama is truly a listener. He is somebody who cares about the Volta region, and all of those engagements have not been in vain. We must emphasize that the NDC Resetting Ghana manifesto is clearly a manifesto that offers hope. It's a manifesto that will address the myriad of problems confronting the people of Ghana and particularly the people of the Volta region. And you would notice that we are going to highlight this morning 27 major interventions for the people of the Volta region. This is just Volta region specific. And then after, we will also highlight some of the general national pledges which we in the Volta region are excited about, because it is going to transform our lives, it's going to improve our livelihoods, and it is going to bring total transformation in the welfare of our people. So we would like to begin with the Volta specific promises in the manifesto. And you know that first on the list, particularly for those of us who were heavily hit by the VRA spillage of the Akosombo and Oppong dams and continue to suffer gross dereliction, grave negligence, and ineptitude by the callous, insensitive, and inhumane Akufo-Addo Bawumia government. We are totally grateful to the incoming President Mahama and the NDC that, contrary to the conduct, which is really un-Ghanaian, which is really inhumane by the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government, President Mahama is pledging that within his first 120 days, that is even what excites us about this pledge, that he didn't just throw it somewhere in the manifesto so that just, you know, to tick the box. But President Mahama has prioritized the compensation and the resettlement of victims of the 2023 disastrous VRA spillage. And President Mahama has assured, if you read his first 120-day social contract with the Ghanaian people, President Mahama is saying that within the first 120 days, he will initiate a probe into the disastrous spillage with the view of ensuring full compensation and resettlement of the displaced victims. As you do know, more than 50,000 of our compatriots in the region have been displaced. As we speak, in my constituency alone, according to official NADMO statistics, 1,360 of our fellow compatriots are still languishing in tents which have themselves become tired and worn out and are leaking when it rains. Anytime I visit fellow constituents, I break down. The last time I had to just mobilize those above 65 years and rented accommodation for them for 1 year so that they leave the tents. We on our own, mobilizing resources, and regional executives of the NDC, former appointees, many Ghanaians, NGOs, you know, donors, philanthropists, foundations, helped us. On our own, we've been able to construct houses for 600 of these displaced people. And we did it in 7 weeks. We cannot fathom, we just cannot understand why individuals, people who are not in control of the national resources, national taxes, can build houses in 7 weeks for displaced people. And a whole year, September 15, which is just a few days away, will be the first anniversary of this disaster. Can you believe that? And it is shocking that the MPP manifesto is silent on this predicament of our fellow Ghanaians. Many Ghanaians are asking if this disaster had occurred in some other region, some other stronghold of the MPP, would this be the response? Would this be the reaction? And when we try to pursue accountability in Parliament, you see the reaction of their ministers, as though the victims are not human beings. They don't have fundamental human rights. As though nobody should fight for these victims, should champion their cause and their welfare. So we are particularly delighted, and we want to salute incoming President Mahama and the NDC, that unlike the current government, they have not treated the plight of distressed Ghanaians, devastated Ghanaians, Ghanaians who are languishing in destitution. They have not treated their plight with contempt. They have not ignored the plight. And we are particularly elated that within the first 120 days, the first budget and the first list of priority projects, and President Mahama was very careful. He didn't go beyond 20, you know, of things that he wants to select. Look at the challenges, the overwhelming challenges confronting this country, you know, and to choose this particular matter as one of his topmost priorities in his first 120 days. The chiefs and people of the Volta region will continue to be grateful to the vision, the leadership, the empathy of President Mahama. And we really want to highlight that as a clear departure, clear distinction between the NDC, a party that cares, a party that values lives, and a party that has empathy for people who are faced with a humanitarian crisis. We really want to emphasize that. Then you also see, when you go through the manifesto, that the manifesto pledges to upgrade the whole airport into a training hub and establish certified maintenance, repairs, and overhaul systems. President Mahama had a very clear vision for this airport. The current government, because they didn't construct it, because they don't have the blueprint, they have allowed the airport to be underutilized. President Mahama is saying that he is going to make sure that this airport becomes a training hub. Fortunately, the Volta region is so strategically positioned within the sub-region, very close. Other aviation hubs in Togo, Benin, Nigeria will get to the Volta region in good proximity, in good time, than other parts of our country. So when we make the whole airport an aviation training hub, immediately we will be strategically positioning the region for industrialization, for job creation within the aviation subsector. And President Mahama has also talked about how this airport can become a strategic cargo location for the movement of goods, particularly under his 24-hour economy, which is linked to the AFTA goals, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area goals, which seeks to increase intra-African trade. As you all know, intra-African trade is below 30%. We are not trading amongst ourselves, and that's the whole vision of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, espoused by the founder of Ghana, Osajefo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. And interestingly, it had to take Professor Mills and Vice President Mahama to renew this vision at the Africa Union. And that is how come the Africa Continental Free Trade Area was reborn. Many of the African leaders had forgotten about it. It's only NDC leaders who really are Nkrumahs and believe in the vision of the Osajefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah who are able to achieve this. So the whole airport is going to have a new breath of life. It is going to be revamped. It's going to make the Volta region an aviation hub, and it's going to help us in increasing export within the Africa Continental Area agenda. And you find all of that well situated in the NDC manifesto. Then the NDC manifesto also talks about reviving abandoned ranches, farms, and meat factories, with particular attention to the Veime rice farm and the Adidome, enclave. You are well aware that Veime rice has collapsed. A lot of our rice farming is not as vibrant as it used to be. We were on the uptick when the NDC was in power. Unfortunately, the policies of this Akufo-Addo government have rather favored rice importers, and rice import bill is at an all-time high. We are shipping jobs when we have the capacity. The Volta region can feed the whole of Ghana, the whole of West Africa, particularly when it comes to rice production. We have that competitive edge, and we are glad that in the NDC manifesto, our farmers, particularly rice farmers, are going to see renewed interest in their economic activity. The manifesto also talks about constructing a modern market in Aflao, and you heard incoming President Mahama talk about this time without number when he last toured the region. He believes that we should take advantage of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, take advantage of the vibrant and buoyant trading between Togo and Ghana, those who cross the border. He wants to establish a modern market so that we can really boost that trade, which has enormous potential but has not been fully tapped. We are also in the NDC manifesto, pledging that will support the fish industry by constructing modern inland fish terminal and markets at Kpando Toko. So that is another area that the people of Kpando have a very strategic advantage, and the manifesto is going to really give them the investment that they need. Once we are able to establish this inland fish terminal, the people of Kpando Toko, and as you do know, even though that economic activity is in Kpando, virtually every body in the fish industry in the Volta region goes there to trade, and so it is an activity which will have a reverberating effect in all parts of the Volta region and Ghana for that matter. We are also pledging, when you read the NDC manifesto carefully, that we'll establish modern fish harbors and landing sites and market complexes with smoking, processing, and storage facilities in towns such as Aflao and Sogakope. Our people are fisher folks. We really know how to fish. We really know how to process fish. Unfortunately, the challenge has been post-harvest losses, making sure that we maximize the economic potential of all of this, particularly if you go to the communities dotted along Anglon, Keta, Aflao, all the way to Sogakope. You see that they really just need a little support. If we can have more landing sites, if we can have more cold storage facilities, so that their catches will not go waste, and because of that they are forced to sell the fish for cheap, really at no economic value, and look at the risk that they take themselves through to have these catches. So the NDC manifesto is going to address this long-standing plight of our people. Then we are also pledging in the manifesto that we will rehabilitate various irrigation projects, including the ones in Vli, in Pli, in Dekbo, in Veta, and Apipe. These are major irrigation projects. Only yesterday we were in Georgia, and in our interactions, the chiefs, the farmers, they told us. I interacted with a young man who says that he's won prizes as the biggest vegetable farmer in the country. Unfortunately, he says that things are not as good as it used to be because of the irrigation projects, which have been abandoned. They've not been serviced. They are choked. They are not able to really derive the benefits from those irrigation projects. So the NDC manifesto pledges to rehabilitate all of these irrigation projects and then to expand them so that we can have modern industrialized agriculture, so that this subsistence farming will be brought to an end. Then for those of us in Northton, we are very excited about this. I know my chiefs will be so excited, particularly the Dofo, Joku, Togoma, Volu chiefs. The incoming President Mahama is pledging to revive the Joapon Textile Factory. The Joapon Textile Factory, which used to be one of the major economic powerhouses of this region, where over 7,000 people were working at its peak. Now you go there, less than 1,000 people working. It's just struggling to survive. They owe so many bills, including electricity bills and all of that. They have laid so many workers off. So we are particularly excited. And again, only the NDC manifesto addresses some of these clear challenges. And we don't know who advised the MPP and why, some of these very low-hanging fruits that should have featured in their manifesto. It is not there. So we want to commend President Mahama and the manifesto committee for thinking about us and promising to revitalize our factories which are dying. Then the manifesto also pledges to construct, rehabilitate, and expand water supply systems to guarantee sustainable and equitable access to clean and safe potable water in Ho and its surrounding communities. You do know that water is becoming a challenge in the Volta region, but across the country. Certainly, with this government failing in the Galamsey fight, we were bound to face water challenges. And if we keep this government in power, what is going to happen is that we will have to start importing water. There's going to be a water war. And you know that you can't survive without water because they have totally become complicit. They themselves, their key party activists, are those who have taken over the illegal small-scale mining activity. And they are mining. You've seen how they are chairman. I can't imagine how regional chairman here will be given a license by President Mahama to go and mine in forests, you know, to go and destroy water bodies. I mean, he would even not dare, you know, go and see President Mahama that that's the kind of business he wants to do. And yet we see regional chairmen all over the place, you know, and they are proudly boasting about the mineral licenses and permits that they say that they have obtained. And that is why all the environmentalists, all green activists are saying that we have to kick out this government. You've seen the statements from the Ghana Water Company Limited. They are really struggling to process water now. And at least we are glad that in the Volta region, our chiefs have been resolute, our community elders have not allowed them. And we want to serve notice that the region remains a no-go area for Galamsey. We know of our potential in lithium and other minerals, but we are not going to allow this kind of reckless, illegal mining, reckless exploitation of mineral resources to continue. So we are going to keep the Volta region clean. We are going to keep all our water bodies clean. The NDC manifesto is talking about prioritizing the blue economy to make sure that at least in the other regions, they will have to learn from the Volta region what we have done to keep our water bodies, particularly the Volta River, very clean. They should learn best practices. But we make a commitment that we are going to keep our water bodies in the Volta region very, very clean. And then we'll take advantage of the clean water bodies to launch a blue economy, to expand water production in all our communities, including boundary communities in Ho, Kweve, Hohoi, and other areas. We are positioning ourselves to even strategically export water to other parts of Ghana. So it is good that Volta region at least is being preserved. It's the only river standing. You all have to help us to protect the Volta region, because it looks like we would have to come to the rescue, come to the salvation of the rest of Ghana. And we are happy to do that. The NDC manifesto is also pledging that we will partner the private sector to develop and operate a port in Keta in the Volta region to facilitate economic opportunities in the Volta, Oti, Northern, and other parts of Savannah regions. Clearly, we are not going to appoint a CEO of a non-existent port. And the last time we were tracking his benefits, you know, 4x4 vehicles, saloon vehicles, rent allowance, free accommodation, free travels, per diems, and all of that. All of those resources could have been put into actual construction of the port. The port construction has not started. What they seem to have started in our last visit is some administration block, and they just put a container there. That's not what a port is. If you want to build a port, really start with the actual construction of the port. So they just use the need that we have, that they know we need a port. Everybody acknowledges that. But let us again use it for jobs for the boys, and then, as usual, siphon resources into personal pockets. That's what happened. We are going to depart from that, and we are actually going to construct the port. And what I like about our vision is that ours is bigger. we are going to look at how this port will serve the entire Volta and OT regions, and even all the way to the northern parts, which you know are landlocked. And so they will rely, instead of going through Tema and then Kumasi, through Techiman, it is far, far shorter if you use the new port in the Volta region in Keta. It's within a few hours you can serve the people of the northern parts of our country. So we have a more comprehensive blueprint for creating a new port or a new harbor for our people, and the manifesto spells that out in detail. Then we also have addressed the vexed issue of the Eastern Corridor roads. We are saying that we are going to have a reinvigorated commitment, so all the way from Tema through Asikuma to Hohoi and beyond, we are going to prioritize the Eastern Corridor, because this really is a road project we should have completed long ago as a country, and there is absolutely no reason why this has not been completed. Then we are also pledging in the manifesto that we will construct the following inter-regional roads: Keta to Denu, to Ho, to Have, to Pando, to Rara, to Dambai. This is a very important stretch, and the manifesto spells that out in great detail. The manifesto also is talking about constructing the Asikuma to Enum to Germany roads. You find all of this only in the NDC manifesto. The manifesto also is talking about conducting feasibility studies to explore the provision of bypasses at Hohoi and Pando to encourage the transit trade. We are also pledging to facilitate investments by the Minerals Commission in natural salt production at Keta to expand capacity and also find markets for the product in Nigeria and other countries. Salt is the new gold, and we have tremendous potential which has not been tapped, and only the NDC manifesto provides a very clear roadmap for the commercial production of salt, particularly the salt deposits at Keta. Then the NDC manifesto is also talking about facilitating the construction of trauma centers, clinics, rest stops, and other social amenities along the Accra, Ablakwa, Tema, Afienya to Ho corridors. So on your way entering the Volta region, you notice that we don't have rest stops, we don't have trauma centers, and we are particular about the trauma centers. Anytime there's an accident, if you can't be airlifted to the capital, then that's the end of your life. Only the NDC manifesto is pledging to construct trauma centers. And you know President Mahama, he has a track record when it comes to state-of-the-art health facilities. He is unmatched in the history of our country. The only president to deliver a quaternary hospital in UGMC, the Ridge Hospital, the Shai Osudoku Hospital, the upgrades of the whole teaching hospital, Tamale teaching hospital, Wa teaching hospital. I can go on and on. So when it comes to hospitals, the Bank Hospital, the Maritime Hospital, you know that President Mahama is one with a solid track record. And these trauma centers are really going to help us. And we commend him for thinking about the lives of commuters to and through the Volta region. Then the manifesto is also talking about carrying out a non-aeronautical estate business development of the airport in the region with the full participation of the private sector under an airport city Prinsec development scheme. So you've seen how the airport city in Accra has been transformed. It's become a first class, you know, acquiring land in airport residential area in Accra, everybody will tell you, is a preserve for the very endowed, those who really have deep pockets. That's what we want to replicate here. We've already talked about the aviation hub that we are going to build for the sub-region. And once we do that, we want to now have the airport city redevelopment program in the Volta region so that we can transform and make the whole airport as a growth pole for a new capital that will emerge. Then the manifesto also talks about establishing a regional digital center modeled after the Accra Digital Center. You have all seen the wonders the Accra Digital Center is doing. It's created a lot of jobs for MPP food soldiers. But really, that's not our border, really. We want to have more of these regional centers so that we can spare ICT growth. And we are happy that the Volta region is going to be considered. We are also talking about establishing farmer service centers in all districts. Every district is going to have a farmer service center. And this farmer service center, it will have equipment, so you can, like how cooperatives operate, you can share equipment. You also have expertise there. You have all of these agric extension officers and all of that, so that they can bring to bear the modern practices, their expertise, to help our local farmers to improve their yields and then to have higher returns. So these farmer service centers, very, very important. And you have people who are well trained, who have the expertise there to help us boost our agricultural production. Then the manifesto also talks about setting up an agro-industrial zone in the region. We'll set up an agro-industrial zone. As a region, that is a competitive edge we have, and we are going to do that. Then we will establish a cocoa processing plant in the region. There are many, many Ghanaians who do not know that cocoa is produced in the Volta region. Cocoa is produced in the OT regions, and we are going to establish cocoa processing plants. We've never had that in the history of the region. Only the NDC manifesto talks about that. Then we are also talking about expanding the whole teaching hospital to provide specialist services. The whole teaching hospital, recently we had an engagement with the whole teaching hospital and the Ghana Medical Association, and they talked about their plans. The management there have a great vision for the hospital. All they are lacking is, government prioritizing their, needs and investing in that hospital. They have done so much with very, very little resources. And we are determined to really expand that teaching hospital so that it will become a specialist hospital where they can take care of specialist needs of our patients. Then, still in health delivery, the NDC manifesto is talking about establishing a quaternary hospital in the Volta region to attract medical tourism. This is huge. This is huge. Ghana has only one quaternary hospital, the UGMC. The NDC manifesto takes the view that one in Accra to serve people in the Accra enclave and those who will fly in using the Kotoka International Airport is serving its purpose. But we need another one in the Volta region because of our proximity to our neighbors. It is easier for our fellow Africans in Togo, Benin, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, all of them. And they would take full advantage of this quaternary hospital. And then medical tourism. These days, a lot of countries are making good money from medical tourism. And already, the Volta region consistently wins awards as the preferred tourism destination because of how we have preserved the region, the originality, the authenticity, the purity, of the region. The region has not come under all the reckless aggression that other regions have come under by so-called developers. We don't know what kind of development that is, that you destroy the environment in the name of development. That cannot be development. Where you destroy the ecosystem, where you destroy forests, that cannot be developed. You are actually on a suicidal path. And we are glad that in the Volta region, we have preserved our environment. And when you add the serene nature of the Volta region, our beautiful tourism potential, and you add that to this quaternary hospital that we are going to get, you can just begin to see the transformation of this region. And this is a reality. If you talk to the management, the doctors, the nurses at the whole teaching hospital, they'll tell you that already we are having a lot of patients coming in from the sub-region, from other countries. Talk to them. If you even talk to a relatively small hospital, those who manage the Bator Catholic Hospital, they'll tell you, anytime they share their patient record with us, you see patients who are coming from Nigeria, from Togo, from Benin, from Cote d'Ivoire, you know, because we have the expertise, we have the experts. The only thing lacking is the equipment. You know, our doctors are celebrated all over the world. Once we are able to have a quaternary facility and you have all of these specialist care, you begin to see the numbers. And a lot of these people wouldn't mind paying a special rate higher than what Ghanaians will pay, you know, to raise revenue, to manage these equipments, and even increase the working conditions of the doctors and nurses in these facilities. So this medical tourism hub for the Volta region, it is a really big deal. Big deal, and we would want you to emphasize that in your reportage. It's one of the visionary items in the NDC manifesto. Then we are also, number 23, talking about dredging of the Volta Lake and other river bodies to prevent future flooding and also enhance the fishing industry. Indeed, recently at a VRA workshop, the VRA itself admitted that they have not done dredging in a very long time. And it's one of the reasons why the spillage affected the region so much, because the river has become very shallow, very shallow. And you've seen a lot of portions have been taken over by these aquatic weeds. So there's a need to dredge the Volta Lake and to make sure that all our river bodies are really in great shape. And we are glad that the NDC manifesto knows what matters to the people of the Volta region and addresses that. Number 25, we are also talking about establishing one zonal public laboratory in the Volta region and upgrade the 4 existing zonal laboratories. So Ghana has zonal laboratories. You are aware that during COVID, these were the zonal laboratories that came in handy. You kept hearing about them. The one in Accra, in Kolebu, the one in Kumasi. We are talking about establishing one in the Volta region. The Volta region has never had a zonal laboratory to take care of those of us on this side of the country. And we commend the visionary President John Dramani Mahama for this pledge. Then we are also talking about establishing additional campuses for the University of Health and Allied Sciences. You know that that is another legacy of the NDC. God bless Professor Mills, may his soul rest in peace. It was Professor Mills who came up with the idea that every region deserves a public university. And so in Professor Mills's first manifesto, you'll find that there. And immediately he was elected, he got to work. University of Health and Allied Sciences in the Volta region, University of Energy and Natural Resources in the then Brongahafo region. They didn't have a public university. Then we continued when his vice president took over. You know, he completed UHAS, came for the commissioning, then secured funding. President Akufo-Addo's own region, they didn't have a public university. He secured funding, President Mahama. And I recall it was one of the last, as Deputy Minister for Education, one of the last public interventions that President Mahama carried out after the elections. Even though he had lost the election in 2016, he wasn't depressed and he didn't abandon his commitments. He went out there to Somanya, cut short for the University of Environment and Sustainable Development, which is now up and running. has created jobs, most importantly, training the young generation of environmentalists and other, you know, green careers. So when the NDC says that we will establish universities, we will establish satellite campuses, we do it. We did it for UDS under President Rawlings, you recall. And then the satellite campuses for WA, for Bolga, Tamale, Nyankpala, and the others. We are going to replicate the same in the Volta region. We started the satellite campus in Hohoi. Unfortunately, this current government, because they didn't understand the vision, they haven't really fully, you know, optimized the Hohoi vision. So we are going to complete the plans for Hohoi. And then Keta, we also promised the good people of Keta. Keta has a very good hospital, very good doctors, and so it's easy to do the interlinkages. Then we are also talking about Bato. Bato has the famous Catholic hospital. We have, and when you are talking about pediatrics now, you are talking about gynecology in the region, is Bato, the Bato Catholic Hospital. Everybody is going there, even people from Accra. Ashaman, Tema, Pram, they are going to Bato Catholic Hospital for their gynecological needs. These days, if you talk about fibro surgeries, everybody is going there. The success rates, you know, and also the professionalism. So the manifesto is saying that we will establish satellite campuses for the University of Health and Allied Sciences along the model as we did in UDS. And you know, it was a similar model we had for even the University of Environment and Sustainable Development, to have one campus in Somanya and then satellite campuses in the Afram Plains enclave. Unfortunately, this Akufo-Addo Bawumia government truncated that vision and diverted the campuses for the Afram Plains enclave, diverted it to the president's hometown in the Achim enclave. But we don't believe in that kind of development paradigm where everything must be channeled towards where you come from or where the president's hometown is. We believe in looking at the economic data, looking at the strategic needs of the people, and channeling our resources. So you notice that when we are putting out our manifesto pledges, you see that it's well informed. We can give you the justifications. We can give you the linkages to economic growth, why we should do that. It's not just about throwing things to the electorate for votes or looking at where we can make hometown folks happy. No. We are looking at the holistic development of our country. And that is why these satellite campuses for the University of Health and Allied Sciences ought to be taken very seriously. Then, finally, for the Volta region, we are also pledging that we will establish artificial intelligence labs in selected secondary schools across the region. In modern education now, it's all about artificial intelligence. It's all about coding, programming, the new jobs, and this new world. It's all about technology. And so remember what we did 2 decades, 3 decades ago under President Rawlings. It was the NDC that started the Science Resource Centers. We started it. And we started by piloting selected secondary schools in various zones. So I recall those days when we were in Presec, not to tease our friends in WAS, in the secondary schools around, you know, they will come and use our Science Resource Center, including let me not mention since we're in election season, it may be misconstrued. We need votes. We need votes from all the schools. But you get the point that we established the Science Resource Centers, started on a zonal basis. Then we later expanded, and we said that, look, now every secondary school should have a Science Resource Center. so that science students don't have to be moving and all of that. And what today you take for granted, you have to take the vision of NDC leaders that we should stop this, you know, theoretical education. Let's have practical. So the educational reforms that we did said that, look, we must invest in pragmatic, you know, solutions. And so the JHS system was really about practicals. These days we are not investing in particularly the technical skills equipments. Then at the secondary level we came up with science resource centers. Now the party that has the track record of establishing science resource centers, investing in them, making sure that we produce scientists who can serve their communities and their generations well. That same party is today saying that it is time to now expand. So expand the frontiers and don't just keep it as science resource centers are now becoming old school. The new paradigm is artificial intelligence labs, AI labs. And we are saying that we are going to select secondary, so every region will benefit. The Volta region will not be left out. We're going to have AI labs. And you can trust us. That's why I started with the Science Resource Center story. Once we did Science Resource Centers from President Rawlings, Professor Mills, to President Mahama, that should tell you that we have what it takes. We have the track record. We know how to do it. The same way we did the Science Resource Centers models across the country, we are going to do the AI labs. Now, as we conclude, we want to briefly run through the other national policies which we are excited about in the Volta region. For these ones, they are not region specific, and you've heard about them. So I'll run through them very quickly so that we can take your questions. You've heard about the no academic fee policy for all first-year students in public tertiary institutions, universities, colleges of education, polytechnics, technical universities. We are saying that once you get your admission fee, the data shows that there's a large chunk of students who receive admissions. And you see, all the existing scholarship programs, student loan programs, you have to get in, be a registered student, be a bona fide in those institutions before you can access those scholarship schemes. So getting in is a problem. That is why, after extensive consultations with student groups, you know that our party has a lot of former student leaders. It's really the natural home for former student leaders. And engaging with students, they told us that if you can come up with this policy that allows us to get in. Some people are saying that, oh, why didn't you target? It is targeted. It is targeted. Because we are saying that it's only for first year to get in. So that is some great deal of targeting. When you have gotten in, after first year, we are saying that we are going to expand the student loans trust fund. We will put in more money. As it is now, that fund is collapsing. They owe them about 50 million cedis. We are saying that we are going to give them the resources they need. We are going to uncap Get Fund. Are you aware that this year, 2024, Get Fund should have received 7 billion cedis? But they got only 3 billion because of two things: the capping and then the collateralization, the Dachi bond that they use Get Fund for. So we are saying that we will uncap Get Fund, we will decollateralize Get Fund, and then immediately 4 billion becomes available. And we have costed this admission fee thing. You don't need more than 300 to 350 million cedis for that. You know, so it's not something that we haven't thought through, that we haven't costed. We have done the costing, we've done the analysis, we've looked at money in the education sector, which have been denied them. If you uncap, you decollateralize, you can then populate the student loan trust fund to implement this policy. After first year, those who feel that, look, my parents have the strength, my guardians have the means, I can continue with my education, they continue. So it is a targeted program. We haven't just said all tertiary students, as we saw with free SHS. Then we also have pledged very clearly that all persons with disabilities, as for them, free education, free tertiary, because really a society that does not look out for the vulnerable, for the weak, it is not a society worth emulating. The measure of any society is how well you are taking care of the vulnerable. That is how people will really assess you and have respect for you as a society. So we are saying that all persons with disability, we are going to make sure that they attend their tertiary education. And when we say tertiary education, please, it's not only university, all the tertiary institutions. And we are saying public, all public tertiary institutions. Then we have also promised free primary health care as a major social intervention. We are also promising to have the Ghana Medical Care Trust, what many are calling Mahama Cares. So you have, if you have paid attention to our disease burden as a country, the doctors have told us, the public health practitioners have told us that many people are presenting now with diabetes. Diabetes is a major killer, you know, diabetes. And all of these kidney diseases. You see how many people died at the renal units under this very insensitive Akufo-Addo Bawumia. They needed just 2 million cedis for consumables. Yet, they could spend 339 million cedis digging a pit in the name of National Cathedral. 339 million. Lied to God, lied to the clergy, lied to Ghanaians that they are not going to use public funds. If I had intercepted documents signed by Kenuforiata releasing funds, we will all have been thinking, including the clergy, all of them who were preaching that, oh, we are not using public funds, leave us alone, don't criticize the project. We would not have known that 339 million. So the 9 on top of the 330 can solve our renal unit problems, you know. And we are saying that we are going to have a special fund. The way this, every week you hear kidney patients, we are going on demonstration. They say they are closing down the place. Because you see, at the government centers, the government dialysis centers, the cost is quite, you know, subsidized. So it's moderate. But if they are to go to the private, and they can't afford it. And even at the government ones, if you see how much they spend, on the average, they need to go through dialysis 3 times a week. 3 times a week. You know, and if one is about 1,200 to 1,500 cedis in government facilities, just think about it, about 4,500, you know. So we are saying that we are going to have a special trust fund to take care of this. It's become a national crisis. We cannot watch people die, you know, and always cry out loud because consumables, they are closing the renal units. So we are going to fix that problem once and for all. And we are happy that the Volta region is going to benefit, because we will have our quaternary hospital, we will have the upgraded whole teaching hospital. And so we will be in good business. Then we are also promising free sanitary pads for all school girls from JHS, SHS. And we started this, we were called names, we were ridiculed. Some of them even came up with some weird theories. I remember the MPP youth organizer saying that probably it's an occultic or spiritual, you know, very, very bizarre theories. I mean, meanwhile, other countries were coming to learn from us. Kenya came to learn from us, and they have expanded and they are doing so well. And they have become the gold standard globally. You know, meanwhile, we could have, if they hadn't criticized, they hadn't come and abandoned that intervention. You know, so we are saying we'll bring it back, and we are happy to roll it out. We are also talking about implementing a Moniyo scheme, which is a unique pension scheme for all the people in the informal sector, Ghanaian workers in the informal sector, commercial drivers, commercial motorcyclists, the Okada people, small-scale miners, the legal ones, not those Galamsey people, farmers, fishermen, traders, market women, creatives, artisans. So because, you know, as it is now, because they are in the informal sector, they are not able to plan for their pensions, and their old age becomes quite, you know, a really tragic period in their lives. But under the Moniyo scheme, they can also prepare for their pensions. Then, of course, the game changer, the celebrated, much talked about 24-hour economy. We are happy that we are going to benefit. One job, 3 shifts, 3 people. That is the formula 133. And we are happy that many more of our young people are going to get jobs. We are excited about that. We are excited about that. We are excited about the Women's Development Bank. You know that our women who are traders, we have a lot of huge markets, very huge markets in the Volta region. We are even promising new ones, like for the people of Georgia. All of these women will need access to, you know, largely interest-free loans, you know, and it's going to be managed by women. Women understand their needs better. You know, a lot of male managers don't really get it. They don't really understand the trading dynamics of our women. So it will be purely managed by women. And that's why Professor Nana Jenopoko-Ajima has been championing this. She's very excited about it. And for the first time, we are going to have a female vice president, you know, who will be at the very top when the presidency is meeting to discuss challenges confronting the country. You know that women are represented. Their own is there. So the Women's Development Bank, we are happy about that. The National Apprenticeship Program, a policy to generate self-employment by providing free technical and vocational training for young people in various crafts. That is also another program that will excite the people of the Volta region. Everybody in the world knows that when it comes to crafts, when it comes to artisanal know-how, you know, skills, the jobs that require not only your mind but your hands as well, the Volta region comes up tops. These days, some people say that our cousins in Togo are trying to overtake us, but we will not allow them to overtake us. Yeah, we won't allow them to overtake us. Yeah, so we are going to retake our position and make sure that we invest in apprenticeship programs so that all of these celebrated carpenters, celebrated welders, masonries, you know, that is why we even upgraded our polytechnics, became technical universities, so that they will have a clear path to progress, you know, they can have degrees. Previously, they do HND and they are stuck. They don't even know where they belong in the, you know, in the job schemes and all of that. They are not able to progress full potential. Now you can go all the way to even do a PhD as a tiler, as a welder, as a painter. You know, you can be certificated, and then you are able to demand fair payment for your services. So we are excited about the National Apprenticeship Program. The teacher Dabre, President Mahama is saying that gone are the days we are going to be building schools without accommodation facilities. Now every school will come with a standard design with accommodation facilities attached. And what we are excited about is that all teachers who accept postings to rural areas will have a 20% addition to their salary, 20% of their basic. So what that means is that if you accept postings in, say, the capital in Accra, your colleagues who accept postings to many of the communities in the Volta region, classified as rural communities, will earn more than you, 20% more than you.